Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Linchpin Comics Editors Q&A. I'm Rayce Jacobson, and here we have the editor, Richard Becthel.
Get on with it.
And
And then we have our two of the three other writers with us. Coriolanus Rex will be joining us shortly. We have artistic Layman.
Hello, everyone.
And Randall Gary.
good evening.
And I'll let Richard take the floor on this.
Take the floor on what exactly?
Start asking extra questions.
You know, you could be a little less vague. What did you bring me on here for?
To ask us questions about our product. So what questions do you have? And it's really trying to force us to think deeper on our ideas.
Okay, how many issues are you planning to condense your story into?
For my origin arc?
Yes.
Either 7 or 8, depending on how much of the third act needs to be, how long the third act needs to be. If I can condense it into one issue, I will. But if not, I'll make it 2.
I'm sorry, issues as in comic book publications. How many chapters are you publishing?
What do you mean?
For the story. Is it going to be bi-monthly? Is it going to be weekly and short? Is it going to be bi-monthly and very large? Is it going to be once every 2 months and even larger?
It's going to be once a month.
Okay.
That's the basic template I want for most of the comics that I want published. It's just
making this so hard for me. Well, before we go on any further, what is your role here, Randall?
From my aspect, I'm just like sort of like an individual contributor for at least my version. It's like a priest with no memories is trying to regain.
No. What is your role in the project? Who are you?
I'm just like.
He's one of the writers.
Okay, you're a co-writer then.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Basically what. Yeah.
With Randall and Coriolanus, I just said if they need extra help, I will help them co-write the books with them. But they're still their babies at the end of the day.
Okay, so each one, so they're writers on different projects is the idea here. Yes. You're writing your main project. They're writing 2 side projects.
They're writing 2 projects of their own.
Okay, and how are we doing? Again, plan out ahead if you want them to be every 2 months to give the artists more time to do good work on them, or shorter if the art quality is high, but in order to convey the story. Which is it for you, Randall?
For mine, I'm thinking about either cutting some things out or making it just mainly action adventure, because at least in one of them, like in the beginning, there's like a sort of like a NSFW-esque scene. Sort of.
I don't know what that is.
Basically, it's like a hooker gives like a BJ to like one of the side characters.
So being sexually explicit is part of the story. Some stories are better for this.
Well, yeah, but like I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I said some stories are better off for being sexually explicit. Just letting the people that are watching this know that.
All right. Well, anyway, for my thing, it's like a precursor to the actual action, and then it'll move soon to a hospital scene.
I'm not asking for you to give me blow by blow. I'm just asking for you to tell me. All I asked was how many issues you want it to be and what kind of art quality, and to base that based on how much art quality you want. How detailed do you want the art?
Okay. I'm thinking about either ending it after 15, probably, or assuming if the artists are still there, maybe like either at 12 or probably
15 chapters. You said?
Yeah, that range. Oh no, there's that'll be the thing. But as for the art quality, I'm not expecting anything highbrow or anything, but just I think moderately okay, maybe.
Gents, I'm asking questions, but you guys keep seeming like you're trying to dodge it or you haven't thought about it. All right. The time frame, I'm guessing that the time frame is for 1 year from now. So from from 1 year from beginning to the end of that year. How many chapters do you want for the story? That's for all of you. That's for both of you.
All right. For mine, it would be.
Go ahead, Randall.
Oh, for mine, it would be overall 60.
60
I mean,
in
that's
1
just
year. Okay, that's 1 chapter a week. That means it's going to be shorter chapters with smaller art quality. But if is it mostly action? Is that what it is?
Yes, the majority of it will be action, and
all right, Randall. You said
Yeah.
60 chapters?
yeah, that's the main thing. I'm
Well,
thinking
since
of.
it's mostly action, that's good, because what that means is that it gives the artist the opportunity to do things with more flair, but less substance. So if you look at, this is a terrible example, Fully Cooley, or FLCL, if you've ever read the manga. It's not that visually impressive, but it looks cool. It's fun to look at, even if you look at this and you say, well, that couldn't have taken long to draw. Another good example is the original One Punch Man comic book by the creator, by the actual writer. Like, the art quality is absolutely terrible, but it gets the point across. It's kind of fun in how silly it is. It's not going to be that bad. It's going to be closer to Fully Cooley, but with action, if you're going for mostly action, you can make it as visually interesting and more cartoonish as you like.
Oh, okay, so I can add more precise elements if I wanted to.
No, less precise.
Oh,
Luke,
okay.
would you
So,
be a pal and bring up images from the FLCL manga?
Like this one?
Yes. Something along those lines. Well, not quite that art style, but of that art quality. There's not much details in it, and the only details that matter are the ones about the main protagonist. Try to find an action scene. The action scenes in there are kind of off the cuff and weird.
Let's see if I can find one. Here we go. Well, here's one when they first meet.
Yeah.
I saw it.
FLCL is more funny than action. Try to find the original One Punch Man comics, a webcomic. Like, big weird expressions, disproportionate bodies. Like, you don't have to be meticulous about anatomy or placement of stuff. You just have to get the message across. If you're going for more action, that'll do it. Especially if you're going to do 60 chapters, you're going to want to give people more. People aren't going to have enough time. I'm the penciler, by the way, so I'm not going to have enough time to do good quality work in 1 week for a 25-page. If I'm doing 5 pages a day.
Oh, okay. So
to do high quality work 5 pages a day, that's going to take 10 hours a day. I can't do that. But I can do something along those lines, 5 in an hour to 2 hours. Yeah, something like that, hour to 2 hours.
Okay.
That's a terrible example, but yeah, an actual comic book page with multiple panels. I could do something around that art quality, 5 in an hour or 5 in 2 hours if I want to be a little bit more detailed.
Okay.
So that's what you're looking at for 60 chapters in a single year.
Sort of like a sequential narrative thing.
Yes. So what we're looking at is 60 chapters, 1 chapter a week, 25 pages each, low art quality, but high stylization.
Yeah, that's the main thing that I'm at least giving, with a takeaway for it, at least for the readers.
All right. And Rayce, you want one every month, correct?
Yes. And we're not gonna publish the first one though until all 8 issues are finished. So there's not a huge time pressure right now. It's only when we actually will release the first book where it's like, okay, we got 8 months left to finish the next arc.
That's not it, Luke. But I hear you. Well, I guess that's more within the realm of possible. No, that's not it. Try to find the original One Punch Man webcomic.
I'm trying to find it.
But Rayce, so how many chapters are there within 1 year? How many chapters?
Oh, in 1 year's time.
Mm-hmm.
There would be, since I want it to be a monthly publication, it'd be 12.
So you want to do 12 chapters for the original story arc?
No, 8.
8. Okay then.
Yeah, I thought you said the first year. I assume you meant regardless of whatever arc we're on. So. That's why.
Well, you should take a break after you finish the first arc. So if you're going to be doing 8 chapters in the first year, that could be one every month or a month and a half. And then, or you could do one every month and then a 4-month break to get everything written out and planned out for your other stories. Or we could take those other 4 months to do another comic book story of yours that's shorter.
Yeah, that's after I finished the first arc of The Law of the Claw. I was going to be working on one of my other 3 projects. Or not 3.
Which one do you think you could wrap up in 4 chapters? Yes, there you go. Like that's the original webcomic on the left that the guy created. That's the one on the right. Something along the lines of the right would take... Well, that picture itself would take me an hour. And that's just one panel. But something that thing on the left, that's like 10 minutes. That's 10 minutes of work on the left there. I'd plan to do a bit better than that, but still. Plan to devote 15 minutes to per page, at least. 15 to 30 minutes per page. So 8 chapters for Law of the Claw. And what do you think you could wrap up in 4 chapters, like a beginning of another story?
Ooh. For Law of the Claw, or just any of the other projects?
Any of the other projects.
Ooh.
Do you think you could tell the origin story for the Ward in 4 chapters?
Probably.
Do you want to go with that?
Sure, we'll stick with that for now, just that way we have something.
4 chapters.
You could try multiple parts, maybe, but yeah, that's assuming if like you want to stretch it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to compress everything to where the entire Act 1 is an issue 1, then Act 2 takes the next 2 issues, and then Act 3 is the last issue. I'd have to really compress it down. But I think it could be done. Issues might be a little longer for it, but I could do it.
So, how many pages do you want each chapter to be?
For Law of the Claw?
Yes.
Well, I do want to get close to that the quote-unquote industry standard of 22 pages, but most of them are probably going to take a little longer than that.
Well,
probably plan for 12 at the most.
How many
44.
at the most? Well, 30 would be the ideal, since they're usually around 30 days within a month. That would give me the chance to do 1 page every day. Devote 2-3 hours to it.
Okay. I sent you some of the scripts, and I don't think we have that many pages done yet. So yeah, let's shoot for 30, just that way.
22 to 30 pages each.
Well,
I'd be alright with like a...
You have the entire script for the issue 1, and I told you what places where there needs to be page turns or breaks. So you just count up the number.
We'll get to the topic of how to write out scripts in a second here. What did you just say, Randall?
Well, from mine, I would just say like I'm alright with like at least doing 30 for my part, but like I could do more if I was thinking about doing like at least 45, but
I'm looking at it's going to be weekly. 25 pages should do it.
Yeah,
because you usually give people more to look forward to if they're going to be waiting a month or 2. Like if the only time you usually do really long chapters, like 60 pages, if it's every 2 months. Something weekly, you're not giving them that high quality of stuff, but you're giving them consistent stuff that's very often. So if you build up a followership, they'll come back more often, and they know they don't have to wait long for the next one.
All right. Okay. So 22 pages is the goal.
Well, 25. I can do 5 a day with the art quality we're looking at for this.
Oh, okay. That'll work.
What if you could do something for me, Randall, is find something that's not very high art quality, but in a style you like. Get a few different references for different mangas or comics that are along those lines. There are a few out there. Try to just do a Google search for the most stylized comics or the most stylized manga.
All right. Okay.
Write that down, by the way. Is everybody here doing note taking while we're doing this, by the way, or am I just the only one?
Oh, so far the only one. I could go get a pencil and paper.
It's probably the best idea. So yours is mostly action. What type of action are we looking at here? Kung Fu, old 80s action movie style, or what are we looking at? That's for you, Randall.
Oh, for mine, I was thinking something close to like at least something similar to like a mix with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but not entirely. So at the very least, it's like part of that plus I think one of the Preacher comics, or at least like the really good ones that catch
The what
people's
comics?
really like Preacher.
Preach. Oh, Luke, could you bring up some pictures of that? So it's going to be a cross between JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Preacher.
Well, at least the part 8 of JoJo is what I mean. So yeah,
I'm talking about
like
art
that's
style here. Just art style. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that.
Storytelling wise, am I going to be telling mostly? Is it going to play out more like a? Is the story pacing? Not what the story's about. The story pacing is it going to come across more like Crank, more like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I think it'll be more like JoJo, but like the build up, it will at least
That's
be something
Preacher?
similar to.
No, it's Crank. It's a JoJo.
Or at least
I know what JoJo is. I asked for Crank. I mean, I'm sorry. I asked for Preacher. I know what JoJo's Bizarre Adventure looks like.
You got to go to a different part of town to get Crank.
Oh,
but the action's still in there for at least like as soon as after the sex scene, there's at least immediate it's like a fight that takes place. Release in mind.
All right. So that's Preacher. Got it.
Here's a bit more page, like a more middle page.
Well, she's cute. I'd hit it. Don't tell me you wouldn't, you liar. All right.
I'm no liar. Most of the time.
All right. And now, Rayce, from what I gather, you wanted to go on to writing conventions?
Yes, I've already been to one. Well, not a writing convention.
No. I'm not talking about conventions. I'm talking about our writing conventions. Conventions we will use for writing the scripts.
Oh, the processes. Okay.
Yes. So, what I'm actually going to do, my scanner just came in the mail. I'm going to scan and send over to you some pages. The example pages from DC Comics Guide to Writing Comics and the Marvel's, the Stan Lee's Guide to Writing Comics. And
Okay.
here's the thing. So long as it's legible, we're good. And Rayce and I were having a lot of problems trying to find a way that's legible to both of us. And what I eventually came up with was pretty bad.
How do you mean?
Well, I tried to make it as mechanical and easy to read as possible, and it didn't come out great. And you were very patient with me, Rayce. So here's the rule: so long as it's legible to anybody, and that while reading it you can visualize the comic, you're good to go. Instead of what we would try to do with Rayce is do it panel by panel. I think it's better to do it page by page. Just say vaguely everything that happened to this page. Separated by this. You're going to put the scenery, what we will be seeing, what happens, and then the dialogue. So you lay out the scene. We're in Gotham City. The mist is just rolling in from the harbor. We see two thugs walk out of an alleyway. Nightwing is looking down from above, goes into the alleyway to find a dead woman there. That's a page.
So basically the way that I was doing it before we started to do the panel by panel thing.
Yours wasn't that great. You were doing it like, instead of setting the scene in one paragraph and then saying what happens in the next paragraph and then saying the dialogue in the third paragraph, you did it line by line, everything that happens in order as if it were a movie. Like I said, I'm going to scan in a couple pictures from these books so that you guys can see what I thought was a great example of what I found was legible as a comic book illustrator. We have plenty of time to figure out our process. Right now, let's just experiment, see what works.
Sure, all right.
And what was wrong with the panel by panel thing that you came up with before?
It's like fucking impossible to read. That and, well, the panel count is going to change based on necessity.
Right.
So it's kind of pointless trying to say what's panel by panel, because what seems like would work in 4 panels, the penciler, me, will probably decide, you know what, this would be better in 6 panels. We'll just draw it. There's going to be a certain amount of trust you have to have for each other, especially as the writer. You got to trust the penciler and inker to be able to do a good job.
Yeah.
But as the writer, what's going to happen is after the penciler, me, does his thing, he's going to send it to you. You give it the okay, say what needs to be changed. The anchor can make those changes, so long as they're minor.
Okay.
And you also, as the writer, you decide where the light sources are and what colors should be used. And the easy way to do this is, you know how in all the manga there's way too much glitter in the characters' eyes? I leave the highlighting of the eyes to you, the writers. And what that does, it tells the inker exactly where the light source is coming from. So if you put the you put the highlight right there, we know that the lighting is coming from above and it's over to the left. Or actually it's closer to the middle, but yeah. So for the inker, that's a clear indication of where he should. So I won't be putting highlights in my drawings. You will. All you have to do is something like that. And now we know exactly where the highlight is. Just draw a line. If Luke would just kindly draw a line from the bottom highlight to the top, straight through it, that will point directly to where the light source is. Yes. So that's good for the inker who... you guys were trying to talk about this on the Becthel live stream a while back. What do inkers do? Well, 1, they add texture. 2, they add all of the lighting effects that the penciler just can't do. And him and the colorist do the lighting together. But the inker does so many more tasks than you think they do. They cause depth of field through line thickness. That line on the right is closer than the one on the left. And we know that because it's thicker. He adds shadows. He adds textures. He adds volume to hair and all kinds of other things. Hey, Luke, there are tools devoted just... There's a cross-hatching brush, you know. You don't have to manually cross-hatch. So yeah, all you'll be doing as the editor is giving us the blow-by-blow. If you discover that there's not enough room to put the text bubbles for the dialogue, write that in there. Write in, say, hey, there's not enough empty space in this area between the action scenes for the dialogue box, or the narration box, or the thought bubbles. So in Photoshop, we'll have to shrink that panel down, draw a little bit of extra around it, finish the drawing, get the okay. It's a long process. The little editing bits are a problem. But yeah, that's all she wrote. That's all there is to it. Wasn't there a third person that's supposed to join us as a writer today, Rayce?
Coriolanus Rex, he's not in yet. You could ask Artistic Layman stuff, because he's writing his own thing, too.
Oh, you're writing your own story, are you, Rayce? Luke, isn't that the one with the Jesus kid that can grant wishes?
No.
What?
A different one. No, that's between us. Don't worry.
Do you know the Road to New Salah then? You heard that podcast.
The what?
Road to New Salah?
Don't know what that is.
I'll get the synopsis for you. Or do you care?
I don't. Not yet. So what we're going to do is the same thing I did with these two gentlemen. You're going to need to know how many issues you want to do in the first year. What's your goal?
Remind me again how long it takes for Marvel. Like, I'm not asking for style, but how long does it take for Marvel to make an issue?
That's going to be something you got to Google right now.
I tried.
Depends on the group.
I tried. I can't find the time frame.
They do it as fast as they need to.
Yeah, remember, they also have a lot more people working on their shit.
Yes, they
so
do.
You can crank through stuff a lot faster.
Right.
Well, no. What that allows them to do is to do it much more slowly and to be much more precise, and yet still create terrible art with characters that look like they have Down syndrome.
Well,
what that does is it allows artists to take their sweet ass time. You listen to some of the stuff these writers, pencilers and inkers say. They sound like the most aristocratic, stuck-up motherfuckers you've ever heard. Like, as if their art is worth gold, and it's not. As if they were drawing... as if they were drawing photorealistic drawings every single time, and they're not. That they think that I deserve the $200,000 a year salary, and I'll accept nothing less. And a lot of artists
Now
out
you
of
know
art
how
school
Rob
demand that.
Liefeld feels.
What's that, Randall?
Now you know how Rob Liefeld feels. You know that terrible,
Yeah.
artist. You know, from Mars.
Yeah, and all people who... That's actually a problem with a lot of quote-unquote artists, but only if they've gone to college. They spent all this money at college, and they think that they deserve a high-paying job in the arts. Because they need a high-paying job in the arts. But art ain't worth that much. Art ain't worth that much. You don't go to school
Well,
to
at least
learn art.
Martin
Just
does.
teach yourself art. What was that, Randall?
Well, at least the modern ones, like the ones like like the 50s and the like before then, those are like at least top tier. But like the art that's coming out, at least right now, it's not worth like stuff that's being
That's mostly because back then, people who went to art school studied nothing but art. And the only people you could get to do art were people that went to art school. Now, with the infinite resources online, any artist worth a damn hasn't gone to art school because what they're learning in art school ain't art. Art school doesn't teach you art anymore most of the time. 90% of what you learn is just politics. Or inconsequential subjects. But what you major in isn't what you study the vast majority of time.
That's the same with just about any other major.
Exactly. That's what the quality of education comes. Skin deep, skin wide.
Inch deep, mile wide.
Inch deep, inch wide.
That's even worse.
What should be is a mile deep, a millimeter wide. And that's what they used to have.
I should know because
Go ahead. You're speaking, Randall. Speak.
Oh, sorry. I should know because currently I'm a senior at an arts college that I'm not gonna name right now, but at least the majority of the people there either have dyed hair or just very fat is all. And I include myself in that, but except that my hair is not dyed or anything like that. And if I showed you my stomach, yeah.
Yeah, he's not Dennis Rodman. He doesn't have dyed blonde hair.
Hey, some black dudes can pull off the blonde hair. I'm sure Randall's not one of them, but...
Well, obviously, yeah.
But Luke.
Yes.
What kind of chapter count are you looking at in the first year?
As of now, I'm thinking about once a month.
Once a month. Monthly. Art quality? Are you wanting it to be more into line what your current art quality is? Do you want me to draw around that level?
I know. Well, I don't want like a supreme art quality, but I would like something better than this.
Better than what you can already do?
No. But if you could do better than me, by all means, do it. But I just something that's not. Where are you? I just had you on my page. I could show you the Hamilton comic book I showed you.
Yeah, you showed me that.
It's extremely. It shows images, but extremely rough, and sometimes the frame of the character seems to shift, and so I would like something better than that.
All right.
At least style-wise, because I understand it's time-consuming the more complex you make it.
You want yours to be more cartoonish, correct?
I would prefer. I don't need realistic. I want like some more cartoonish. Yes.
All right, cartoonish, more in line with something like Danny Phantom.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess if I can get away with it, but not that. Danny Phantom's like my Fairly Odd Parents is a little too simple.
So just a little bit more complicated than that.
Like a one level above that.
Detention Air.
I don't know that one.
Google it. It's great.
Ben 10. That quality?
I don't know. Detention Air. This is very amusing. I like. Oh wait, is this the comic or the cartoon?
It's a cartoon.
Oh,
it was on Nickelodeon. I like it because they had the fucking Tatzelworm as a mascot for the football team. I'm like, ooh! I never hear anybody mention the Tatzelworm. The Tatzelworm is weirdly one of my favorite mythological creatures.
Tatzelworm.
The Tatzelworm. It's like a worm dragon.
Huh. There it is.
There he is. He's so cool.
Yeah, I like this style.
He's a bro. Like the tassel worm's a bro. So that kind of style is what you're looking at.
And you'd like
Yeah,
that.
that'd be fun.
That would actually be fun. All right, monthly. I could probably devote 1 hour a day, get 2 pages done. So yours could probably be more along the lines of 50 pages a week, a month.
So much information.
With that kind of visual quality, I could easily do 50 pages a month with just an hour a day.
Although the vampire story would be a lot more fun to play with because that's when I actually can see in a comic book form.
Well, we'll probably do. Actually, Rayce, would you be okay with doing yours once every 45 days?
I'd probably like it to be a little more uniform, either one every month or every other month.
Let's try it for every other month.
Fair enough.
So, every 2 months.
I imagine mine's going to be higher quality anyway, so it'll take a lot longer to get done anyway, so.
All right. Luke's is monthly, 60 pages each.
What's a comic book that's 60 pages?
Usually
You have
more,
a couple.
Like, which one did you recommend? Like, normally I only get those bigger comic books after like a year after they've been published. So I'm not sure how long that would take.
Are you saying you only buy trades?
Pretty much. Pretty much,
Yeah,
yeah.
all the ones I have are trades too.
Most manga is 60 pages per chapter, as far as I've read.
Oh, yeah. Pages per chapter. I can't.
But with this art
sound
quality,
right.
absolutely. That's well within the realm of possibility.
That doesn't sound right.
Now, let me ask you a question, Artistic Layman. Do you actually want yours to be ongoing series, or is it going to end after a certain amount of issues, after the main arc's done?
Well, the story. Well, a new Colossus story would have to end. Is going to end eventually.
Okay, so it's not an ongoing series like many other comic books out there.
No, the vampire story would be an ongoing one.
Okay.
Here's the thing, gentlemen. Plan your story with an ending. If other ideas come about later, or if you get another writer on board that wants to do more with the character, good for them. But do Darkest Night. Plan out for ultimate climax that you could say, okay, you know what? If I never write another chapter for this, I'll be fine. I'm completely content with it as it is. Because when you don't plan ahead and have an ending, you get Naruto.
Of course.
Really cool and fun at the beginning, but turns to shit.
And it just goes on way too long, and then there's a spin-off.
Oh, no, that's One Piece you're talking about. Naruto stayed on about long enough. Now, One Piece is the one that stayed on way too long. But yeah, most shonen manga, like, you can tell the writer had no fucking plans for it to end. They didn't expect it to become popular in the first place. Like, it mostly just happens to them by chance. They're like, well, I guess I gotta keep going now. So plan with an ending in mind.
My first arc does have an ending. That ending, though, if we do end it there, it'll be okay. But I also have the possibility of going to the next arc.
Okay, I gotcha.
So, and I think every arc is going to be like that, to where every time we come to that end, it could end there, but it still leaves the possibility just in case we decide, oh, okay, we got this other thing we can do now.
Or if it becomes popular.
Yeah. Right now, I'm only thinking about 4 arcs. Potentially, yeah, the first one and then 3 more. But again, I'm not going to deal with those until it's time to actually get to work on them.
All right, so here's what I got. Randall is aiming at 60 chapters, or more along, closer to 57 chapters in the first year. He wants it weekly. He wants 25 pages each. Low art quality, but very stylish. I don't know how I misspelled that. Art style somewhere between JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Preacher. Probably going to dumb it down a little bit more than that.
I mean, it's good
Rayce,
either way, but so long as I, don't give you too much, is what I mean.
Yeah. Rayce wants about 8 chapters for Law of the Claw. 1 chapter every 2 months. 22 to 30 pages each. But higher art quality than the others.
Yeah.
Absolutely doable. All right, and now we just got to wait for Coriolanus. How do I spell that, by the way?
He's in the live chat. So, you see, he says, good to do miniseries because with ongoing series, you eventually have to have multiple final crises to clean up your expanded universe. This is true.
How do you spell Coriolanus?
Coriolanus is Coriolanus, and then Rex.
I think I'll leave out Rex. It's fine.
But yeah, if he's in there, go click the link in the Skype group to get into this. Because you need to be in on this too. You're also a writer.
I'm already a bit swamped with just these 3, but let's see what else we can do. Hopefully his isn't too rough.
His seems to be a little bit more of a traditional type of superhero story, from what I understand.
Then we'll have to do his is going to be bi-monthly, every other month.
Yeah, we'll wait for him to get in and let him tell you about it, just to be sure.
Well, just by necessity, it's going to have to be every other month. Because of what I'm already doing.
Fair enough.
And bring up more pictures of Detention Air, Luke.
Let's see what we got.
Like, how's that for art quality?
Why is the picture not showing up?
Man, they got some necks on them.
Reminds me of like Disney's version of Witch or something like that.
See, I've up to this point, I've never met another person who liked Witch.
Oh no, I don't like Witch. I'm just saying that the style is so much of it.
Okay, that's a good example of the art quality. Yeah, something along those lines would be well within the realm of possibility. Most of the difficulty is going to be on the painter's side, though.
So you already know everything you need to know from us?
What?
Is that all the questions that you have for the 3 of us before you get to Coriolanus?
Yeah, yes, and Coriolanus is here. That's the bully/nerd. He's the computer support.
Yeah.
No, really. He can hack computers and phones and shit. That's his, and he's like, wait a minute, does that mean I'm the, yep, you're the sporting role? He's like, God damn it.
Hey, boys.
Hey, Coriolanus.
Hi.
Hang on a second. Coriolanus. All right, Coriolanus.
No, it's Coriolanus. Just call him
Coriolanus. Sorry, God damn it.
If you have trouble, just call him Coriolanus.
So,
You plebeians need
Coriolanus,
to read
are
your
you
Shakespeare.
good with yours being done every other month?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, as far as it stands, I would kind of like to keep it down to 6 chapters anyway.
Sure. If you can do the first arc in just 6 chapters, a good and closed story that doesn't need to continue but can, that's the ultimate goal here. How many pages do you want each chapter to be?
Oh, jeez. What's your average comic book?
22 to 60. Depends, but usually most keep it under the range of 30. With you, I'm going to have to ask you to keep it less than 30.
I'm looking at a couple of my mangas right now, and each chapter is under 30.
Okay, you don't do as much the types of manga I read.
Yeah, let's go with 25 for now.
25 pages.
Yeah.
That means you're going to have to be concise in your storytelling, though. That means you're going to have to cut out a lot of chafe of extra details that you don't need to add.
Well, if it expands up to 30, it does. I'm not a big fan of I'm not a big fan of ongoing series. I think I mentioned this to Rayce before.
All right. And what kind of art style do you want for it? Okay, if you were to name just a comic book
You're
you've
gonna have
read
to
recently.
explain that.
Well, for what you're looking at on the screen here, if you click on Artistic Layman, that's the art quality style. Kind of similar to that is what he wants. That's kind of low input. I could do something like that easily. A page with just that kind of art quality, I could do that in 30 minutes. But something more realistic, like a lot of comics are today, that would take an hour per image, damn near, per panel, damn near.
What about
Or just
how
come up
good
with a
are you with your
cartoon
art?
or animated series. I'll be giving some art examples this December.
Okay, what about an art style like Brian Wood's, like from his Northlanders?
Would you bring some of that up for us, Luke? Brian Wood's Northlanders.
All right.
I'm gonna have to step away for a second. Do continue.
Oh no, whatever will we do without Rayce? I mean, he holds this team.
Degrade
holds
into
this
the bad
conversation.
comedy hour.
Here we go.
Yeah, we're not talking about my old stuff on the stream.
Oh,
That's a quick
Oh
way.
wow!
That's a quick way to get yourself muted.
oh, wow. This is very pretty and stylish. That's definitely within the realm of possibility. Most of that's going to be on the painter's side, though. And inker's side. Yeah, that's easy. That's easy stuff. Not too many superfluous details. More just here's the main characters. We're not showing you huge mountainscapes behind the characters. Here's just what they're climbing. They're climbing a hill. Here they are.
Yeah, I'm pretty fond of Brian Wood's art style. Like you said, it's simple and stylish.
Brian Wood's art style.
Plus, if you actually look at some of the character faces, like look up Northlanders Sven the Immortal. I think it is.
All right.
No, Sven the Returned.
Oh, no, that's excellent.
Now, see, the bottom left one there with the wolf, to draw that, I just draw the silhouette of the wolf damn near and do nothing else except for the details around the eye and snout. Like, there's almost nothing I'd have to do for that drawing. And the inking, he'll just have to blot it all in. Then the coloring is usually... He's very minimalist with his colors. That's great.
Yeah, there we go. That's perfect. That's exactly what I'm talking about right there.
Looks good.
By the way, I know this is a Linchpin stream, but I will shill that Northlanders series. It is a fantastic series.
All right. Yep. I got a good picture here, and I've got it written down so I won't forget. Got yourself a deal. Every other month, 20 pages, just like that. I can do that. I could probably do that now.
Perfect, perfect.
Since we're not starting till the summer, my art will improve even more by then.
Oh, are we not even? We're not doing this until the summer then.
Well, that's according to Rayce.
I want you guys to
that's
work on your
a good
scripts.
time frame. That's a good time frame.
And I want you to work on your scripts now, and I want to start releasing stuff by summer.
Well, by then, what I'll have by summer, I'll already have done every single chapter of every single one of these stories in not thumbnail form. Yes, thumbnail form. Storyboarding. I will have storyboarded them in pencil by then.
Okay.
And
Hey, what's that art style there? Or rather, what's that a page from?
Oh, The Walking Dead.
That's a bit much. That would take some time.
You brought on my most hated of animes. You know what? There's also another art style, Wasteland graphic novel.
Which one?
Wasteland. And this is one. I'm just throwing this one out there for you guys in case. It looks really, really good, but it's extremely minimalistic.
I dig it.
You have any other questions for us?
I think I got most of what I need.
Well, here's the thing, though. Most of the questions, it seemed you were coming from the frame of mind of a penciler, not the editor.
No, this is important for the editor. You have to make it clear. The point of editing is to make it as simple as possible. It needs to be communicable between all players involved. Now, as for writing goes, so long as it's legible. That's it. That's all you got to do. So long as it's legible, you get the point across. And first of all, the point of determining how many issues it is and over what period of time will tell you exactly how much you want to write and how much you want to put in the story. It'll probably get you to drop characters you don't need. It'll probably get you to drop scenes you don't need to tell the story, and so on and so forth. And that's a point that I really need to hammer home.
How long does it take to make this one?
Oh my god. Figure drawing is the hardest and longest part of it. Those two on the bottom would both take 2 hours apiece.
Oof.
Is that one there, Luke?
Oh, this one is Victor Gischler, and
yeah, those two on the bottom would probably take up to 2 hours apiece. That all four on the top would take an hour together.
Oh, Sally of the Wasteland.
Okay, here's what I wanted to get across. Here's what I wanted to get out of this, though. What I wanted you to do is ask us questions about our stories as far as character and plot and setting.
Nope, we don't need to worry about that. That's something that you worry about. That's all you have to do. The point of the editor isn't to determine. So long as the only thing that the editor will have to keep in mind.
What I want to do is to get you to force us to think about it. We'll coming up on with it on our own. But
well, that's why I am getting you to think about it by telling you what your restrictions are. You're restricted to 25 pages, Coriolanus, once every 2 months, and you only get 6 shots. Make sure there's no chafe in there. Determine exactly. That's for you to decide exactly what parts of the story are important, and to tell nothing but those parts. That's same for you, Randall. Only tell the parts of your story that are important to the story. If there are characters that don't need to be in there, don't put them in. Keep it down to the least amount of protagonists and least amount of villains possible. Least amount of side characters possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the whole point of this, isn't it? Just to get it out there to start with.
Well, I don't need to hear your stories yet. Until you guys have fully plotted out your story from beginning to end, just general outline, then we can talk about that. Kick ass, huh? They look much younger in that. They actually look like they're preteens.
Yeah, they're much younger. They look much younger in the comics.
Good. The age they were trying to tell us they were in the movies was bullshit. Or you trying to ask me
but what I mean is
would be on
keeping these stories small and
yes.
What I'm saying here is keeping these stories small and tight for the initial release.
Mm-hmm.
We can work on bigger stuff
Keep
as
your
we
stories small and tight.
Yeah, exactly. If it's not forwarding the plot or fleshing out character or the setting, it doesn't need to be there.
Yes.
Plus, we should sort of look at this as what we would put on a Kickstarter.
Yes. Your goal should be solid, not vague. As they need to be as unvague as possible. I'm sorry, I forgot the word of the word for unvague. They need to be as unvague as possible.
Specific.
They need to be as specific as possible. Thank you, Rayce. They need to be as specific as possible. They need to be as fleshed out as possible. And they need to be to the point where tomorrow, if we were ready, we could get started on it. Before you tell me what your story is, have it fully plotted out. And here's if you have pencil and paper on hand, write this down. Protagonists, villains, locations, MacGuffins. Figure out what they are. Just give me one of each. At max 2. Or, I'm sorry, main villain, main protagonist, MacGuffin, main locations, and then you can get on to minor stuff. Minor villains, minor protagonists, minor MacGuffins. Actually, maybe I should write this down so I can explain it better. All right. 4 different pages. 8 different pages, I'm sorry. First page, right at the top, main protagonist. Second page, main villain. Third page, major locations. Fourth page, main MacGuffin. Pretty much every story has MacGuffin. And then the 4 pages after that are exactly the same except minor. Now the hardest part, one of the hardest parts as a writer is keeping the locations in mind. You have to write down to me where things are located in relationship to each other, even if that means just writing out a simple map. What you could do in Word, if you just create a here, hang on a second. Let me open up one. New rich text document. Insert. Where the hell? How am I forgetting the word for this now? Yeah, rich text document is crap then. I forgot what it is, but it's where you insert thing that it creates several different boxes that are separated. If one of you could open up a Word document and tell me what that's called. Huh?
Spreadsheet?
Pretty much creating a spreadsheet. You can do it in the spreadsheet format. And use each panel in the sheet as a location. Leave the ones that are empty that are just large empty spaces. That kind of thing. You can just simply do that. That'll work. But the important thing is to keep consistent locations consistent. This is important for a writer if this one location is 5 hours for the other one, and you have your hero rescue this person in time, it's kind of bullshit. If there's a hostage situation 5 hours across town and they have 1 hour to fulfill the ransom, the hero gets there before the 1 hour, that's kind of bullshit. Or you better explain how the fuck they did that. Something that does come up in comics a lot. People don't keep in mind distance, and then a lot of things come up like that. To the point that people say that Superman can move 500 million times faster than the speed of light. Can hear things, can hear sounds 500 million times faster than the speed of light. So that's what I'd ask of you. Before you tell me any story, just have that stuff down. And for the main protagonist, the main villain, have their motivations. Have just a little bit of background on them. Just, I'm back, we're back, and everything is going to be fine.
What do you mean by MacGuffins, by the way?
Just any kind of objects or things like that that are important to the story, and why.
For example,
the Tesseract.
Yeah, exactly. In Avengers, the Tesseract, everyone was after the cube.
Or Star-Lord's recording tape. That's a MacGuffin. They never used it. Not really. But he went all the way back to the station. Why did he do that? Why did he go back to this action sequence? Because he needed to get his music tape back. It's his mom's. He's not leaving that behind. It could be as
Say
simple as
Basically,
that.
objects
it's just
important to the story.
What's that, Coriolanus?
Say objects important to the story.
Or important to the characters. That if it's stolen, who here has ever watched Spoonie's Counter Monkey?
I don't know. No, I have not.
All right, well, there's a little rule for DMs that if you do this, you can make characters do absolutely anything. You can make players go to the ends of the earth, steal something from them. Usually doesn't matter what it is, but for the sake of a comic book, it needs to be something important. Give me something for the character that if I steal it from them, they will, if you as the writer have another character steal it from them, they will go to the ends of the fucking earth to get it back.
Like the One Ring from Lord of the Rings, basically.
Yeah, One Ring of Lord of the Rings is also a MacGuffin, but that's not a more, that's a major MacGuffin. For minor MacGuffins, it could be something like the tape from Guardians of the Galaxy. The Walkman, I think it was.
Yeah, Sony Walkman, which had the mixtape that his mother made for him.
Yeah, that's a minor MacGuffin. Major MacGuffin would be the Soul Gem.
You mean the Power Stone?
The Power Stone, sure.
1,000 Guardians too.
All right.
I want to ask you a question there, Richard.
What's that?
How exactly would you write in something to a story? Because I was actually thinking of something amusing, like character wakes up, and to get across that there's a particular song playing on the radio.
Yeah,
Just play the song.
Yeah, it would have to be me putting in a caption, some sort of text box saying having the lyrics in it.
Well, it's actually for lyrics for music or things coming out of the radio. It's more like a squiggly box.
Oh yeah, just for the noise lines.
Yes, it's a noise box. I forgot what it's called, but there's a specific type of dialogue box for something coming out of an electrical appliance like the radio, or coming out of a radio. Like, I'm sorry, from a handheld radio device for communication, and a radio that's playing from a music station.
Yeah.
But if you want to get across how important the song is, we could have him inside of the dream, and him hearing the music inside of the dream and imagining it, and then waking up, or seeing visual representations of the lyrics, and then waking up and it's just music playing. So that's what you could do.
Yeah, we couldn't actually put the lyrics into the comic book because for
Yes, you
copyright
could.
reasons.
Oh, if it's your own original song, you can. Write your own
That's
original song.
unfortunate, because I just had this really interesting or this one song I wanted to get in there just for the shits and giggles of it. It was
What's the name of
Living
the
in
song?
America.
Well, then write your own version of that song. Make a knockoff song. You're allowed to do that.
People wouldn't get it.
Okay.
Well, then we
Yeah,
could.
it would kind of play on the comic book. It would be like one of the small comedic parts of it. So
Okay. Well,
people
here's the
really
thing.
wouldn't get it.
Something you need to keep in mind about comic books and manga. It is more a visual medium than a sound medium. Put less thought into the dialogue and more thought into the scenery and and the action. If you want to get across a joke, make it a visual gag. Like as an example, Monty Python's Flying Circus, those little animation reels they have.
Here's a nice little sequence from Daredevil.
Thanks. Yeah, try to do more visualization than narration.
Yeah,
But don't be afraid to use narration. Don't be afraid to use narration. It's still a book.
Yeah, remember, show, don't tell.
And feel free to break that law whenever you feel you should. If it saves you on ink, especially. I think that's it.
You have no other questions for any of us?
Not as of now. If you go and do the work I just suggested, next time you can tell me about the stories. I guess.
All right.
All right.
I'll go ahead and shut it down. Well, thank you all for watching. This has been the.
Before you shut it down, let me do something very quickly. What is? I can't find your channel. Where is it?
Well, the Linchpin Comics channel.
Linchpin. All right, you can go and shut it down.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This has been the Linchpin Comics Editors Q&A with all of the writers of Linchpin Comics, as well as our editor, Richard Becthel. Click all the buttons, click all the links, and stay tuned for more of our Transparent Creation series.